Hello, I'm going to start my presentation with a question. Have you ever come across a headline that says something like, "New study shows a link between chocolate consumption and lower stress levels"? It makes you wonder, does that mean chocolate really reduces stress, or is there more to the story? My name is Andrea Cuevas, and in this short presentation made for my Intro to Psych class at UCR, I'm going to explain what a correlation is, why it doesn't determine causation, and things to consider, such as illusory correlations and confounding variables. To begin, we're going to go over what a correlation is. A correlation is a statistical relationship between two variables where a change in one variable is associated with a change in the other. In simple terms, a correlation is just a link or a relationship between two things. When one changes, the other tends to change too. It shows a connection, but it doesn't prove that one variable causes the other. Now that we know what a correlation is, let's talk about positive and negative correlations and what they mean. Correlations can be positive when both variables increase together, and negative when one variable increases while the other decreases. An example of a positive correlation could be ice cream sales and number of drowning deaths. As you can see here, these dots form a very clear line heading upwards. This means that when ice cream sales go up, so do the number of drowning deaths. I know this positive correlation sounds a little crazy, but we will come back to this example when we discuss what a confounding variable is. An example of a negative correlation could be sleep and stress. As the number of hours you sleep increases, your reported stress levels tend to decrease, meaning that people who sleep more report having less stress. A very important thing to remember about correlation is that it does not determine causation. Correlations only show relationships. They do not specify which variable influences the other. For example, we can't say that eating ice cream leads to more people drowning because that doesn't make any sense. We can only say that there's a positive relationship between the two. Now we can get into a couple of important things to consider when looking at correlations, such as illusory correlations. An illusory correlation is the perception of a relationship between two variables when no such relationship exists. So, in simple terms, an illusory correlation is when you believe two things are related, even though they really aren't. For example, there are some who share the common belief that wearing a lucky shirt or carrying a lucky charm can improve your performance, like getting a good grade on an exam or winning a game. There's no scientific evidence that these items actually influence outcomes, and it's really just our minds linking unrelated events. Other factors to consider are confounding variables. A confounding variable is an external factor that influences both variables being studied, creating a false impression of a direct relationship. In other words, a confounding variable is another factor that affects both things you're studying, making it seem like they're directly connected when they really might not be. For example, as I mentioned before, there's a positive correlation between ice cream sales and drowning deaths. The reason there's a relationship between these two variables is because there's a confounding variable that we're not considering. The confounding variable here would be the weather. Warm temperatures influence people to want to swim more, leading to more drowning, and buy more ice cream to cool down from the heat. So, in conclusion, correlation measures the relationship between two variables but does not determine causation. Illusory correlations and confounding variables can lead to misinterpretations, and the main takeaway from this presentation is the next time you hear or read about a correlational study, ask yourself what the real story is behind the data. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Have a great day.